We picked this up at a little Amish store in Burke, New York. We told him we were going to haul it the 300 miles, so he has it bolted to the pallet here, and he did a great job of keeping it secure against the weather, which is a good thing because we had a lot of rain through the mountains of Vermont. But it looks like everything stayed secure. So we're going to unveil it for you, give you a look-see. Since we were going to be traveling with this on the trailer, I asked him not to assemble everything. So I got the warming ovens and that stuff loose on top. I'm going to get this unveiled, and then we got to try and work out a game plan to get this up the stairs and inside. Well, he did a heck of a job packaging this up. He did just what I wanted. Went beyond the Call of Duty, actually, because this is wrapped up really tight. Nothing jiggled around or got scratched. Good customer service, I'll tell you. Kitchen Queen. We had such good luck with the Kitchen Queen we had at the homestead. Fantastic stove, but the 480 was just a little bit much for here. This is going to fit in the kitchen real nice. Little warming ovens. With the stove weighing in at over 650 pounds, I decided to assemble it after we got it through the door, trying to work smarter and not harder. Be able to bake some pies in there, huh, Mama?
Pies, breads, turkey.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Looks
Beautiful.
nice, isn't it?
Beautiful stove.
It is. The fire door. I can't wait to sit next to that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get it inside and fire it up.
Yeah, let's do it. The two of us are not going to pick it up. I've had a lot of guys offering to help, but to try and arrange it and all of that, we'll get it in one way or another. See, that's way too much of an incline, but if I unhook from the Jeep, that will drop that part, which will raise this part. Probably be good. We would just need to keep it from pivoting once all the weight gets behind the wheels of the trailer.
So what if we put some timbers under this end of the trailer? That way when the weight of the stove comes back, it won't be able to pivot on us.
That'll work. Right under the edge.
Yeah, right along here.
The smarty pants. Now these timbers should prevent the trailer from popping a wheelie once we get the weight beyond the axle. Just doing what I'm told, don't you know? I know the whole pallet won't fit through the door, but I want to keep it bolted to the pallet, so I think I'm going to get my Sawzall and I'm going to cut this right off. And the same thing with over there. And once I have those pieces cut off, I'm going to try and pick it up with a little bit of leverage. Have Lori put some rollers beneath it. Then I'm pretty certain we have it all strapped down. We can spin it and roll it right up the ramp and into the cabin. I'll cut these stove length and they'll make good firewood. I never was much of a fan for Ryobi tools, but I love this cordless Sawzall, and I have their screw guns, and what I like is that the battery, it's one battery fits all. And this cordless Sawzall, I use this thing all the time. I use it out by my tree stand when I want to prune some limbs. With a pruning blade, it works out fantastic. I'm glad I bought it. I'll put a link in the description below for the one that I have. It's been a very, very handy tool, even for cutting up a deer. It works pretty good. I'm going to take a timber, come over the top rail, go under this iron pipe, use some leverage and pick it up. And then I'll have you roll this underneath. Right by here, right under here. and then I'll repeat the process on the other side.
Okie doke.
I'm pretty confident that we can pull this off without busting our backs. Well, here comes the moment of truth. Mama steers while I push. And push some more. One more big one, and we're up over the threshold and through the door. Looks like we did it. Mission accomplished.
Woo! Yes, sir.
The next step was to screw on the warming ovens through the pre-drilled holes with the hardware provided. Now those heavy-duty casters made moving the stove around as easy as pushing a shopping cart. That's the way to do it. Looks like we're not the only one who's excited about the new stove.
What are you doing? Oh, you geezy Burke. You like that stove? Huh? You do? Get out of here now and get squat.
Okay, I don't have room to get a timber in here. I'm going to just try and pick it up, and don't dilly-dally. Pull that right out when I say, okay? Go.
Got it. Okay.
To get the stove off the pallet, I needed to remove it in pieces. Cutting it in half ought to do it. Ready?
Yep. Okay.
Foot. Hurry up, pull it out. Well, folks, the stove has been burning for 5 days and 4 nights, and so far, I couldn't be happier with its performance. The very first meal cooked on the stove was Thanksgiving dinner. I left Lori to her own devices while I kicked around the woods. This was her first time ever cooking with this new stove. She had no problems whatsoever regulating the temperatures. She cooked all the fixings on the stove top and the turkey in the oven. The turkey came out beautiful, and never once did she have to rotate the bird like you do with the old-fashioned cook stoves. They always had a hot spot on the upper left-hand corner. You had to continually rotate your entree or it'd be burnt on one side. Not so with this Kitchen Queen. Maid and Voyage did a heck of a job. Turkey come out nice. What a great little stove. As far as the heating performance, it's been outstanding. The cabin has been very toasty. It held a fire throughout the night. Wake up in the morning, nice heavy bed of coals. Just rake it around, a few dry sticks, open the draft, and we were boiling the coffee water in no time. The glass door, just fantastic. What an upgrade to this old camp, I'll tell you. I filmed the installation as far as taking it off of the trailer and all of that. That was the hardest part. And since we were replacing a stove that was here, I didn't have to put in a chimney or anything else. All I had to do was hook up the stovepipe, and I didn't bother filming that. Eventually, this is all going to be brick, just like I did in the New York cabin where I put the brick behind the wood stove. It's going to have the same look here. Now, ever since I posted a photo of the new stove on Facebook, I've had a lot of people inquiring about where we got it. There was a new Amish store that opened up about an hour from our New York cabin. It's called Miller's Country Store. It's just off of Route 11, over near Malone, New York. They have quite a selection of wood stoves, pellet stoves. They have the Kitchen Queen, both the 480 and the 380. They have the Hiko stove, a whole bunch of different stoves there. They have gas ranges that are set up for living off the grid where they don't require to be plugged into a household outlet to function. They got a gas refrigerator there. We'll be buying one of those for the New York cabin. All kinds of cool housewares and whatnot. It's primarily for living off the grid. It's the only store I've ever shopped in that's illuminated by gas light, and they've got one of the coolest gas lights I've ever seen. I've never seen one like that before. I've only seen those little Humphrey gas lights. This thing was a Cadillac of gas lights, I'll tell you. When William Miller called me and said that our stove was in stock and we could pick it up any time, then the reality set in that we had to haul this 300 miles through volatile weather, then get it up the stairs and in the cabin by ourselves. The thought of it all was pretty intimidating, to say the least. But we came up with a game plan to use leverage and rollers rather than trying to muscle it in. And as you can see, everything went according to plan. I couldn't be happier with the whole deal. Everything from the installation to the cooking of the Thanksgiving feast, the performance of the stove, everything including the transaction. It was very refreshing to do business with someone who actually cared about the merchandise once it leaves the lot. A lot of dealerships, they'll load up your merchandise and then it's your responsibility after that. Not so in this case. And I was so impressed with the whole transaction and the customer service. That's why I'm giving him a little shout out in this video. He did not hire me to do this. We had to haul that down through Vermont, and we hit some torrential downpours going through the mountains. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But everything was wrapped up tight. None of the loose components jiggled around. Nothing got scratched, and the whole stove stayed dry throughout that drive. That's the kind of customer service is going to keep me coming back. Unlike the bait and switch and empty promises that I've gotten with other dealers. We will certainly stop in and do some shopping at their store every time we go through. Yeah. So if you're interested in a stove, I'll put their contact info down in the description box below. The Amish, they do business the old-fashioned way. They don't have a website. They don't take credit cards. They don't even have an answering machine. But like I said, they have good old-fashioned customer service. It was just a joy to do business with them. Yep. So that's it for now, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. All the best to you. God bless.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go. There's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss.